Because Jeff, in your book, How to Write a Song, you wrote, "You have to stop thinking about anything other than what happened when you were a little kid. And you laid on the floor and you drew. And you lost yourself in that drawing. And in the end, you absolutely loved that drawing because you made it yourself."
Right.
Why is that important to go back there and tap into that?
Well, because I think that most people, when they think of themselves as not being creative, they have just lost the part of themselves that would give themselves permission to be creative. And I think that's one of the things we had innately, most of us, I think, when we were little children, and no one is judging us against the standards of art or anything other than, well, it's crazy. This little thing can use a crayon. I don't know. It's just I think it's a natural impulse, and I think that at some point we stop giving ourselves permission. And I truly believe that you have to be able to give yourself permission to create anything, and I'm an advocate for it because I think that it's a much better place to spend time with yourself in your imagination than it is with your concerns and your worries, as much as we all are forced to every day. And I think when you make something that wasn't there when you woke up, that's as close to God as we get. And I think that it's a beautiful thing to remind yourself of, that you have the power to make something that wasn't there. And that's what I think we do naturally as kids. And I also think it makes it harder to tear other people's work down when you have put yourself on the side of creating. So, I don't know. Was that too much of an answer?
It was a wonderful answer. I can't decide, Tracy, whether to have you read a poem and then ask, how do you write poetry, or the other way around? I think I'm going to ask you how to write poetry first, so we don't psych anybody out.
Okay.
If somebody's thinking, I really want to start to write poetry, and I don't even know where to start, what are some first steps?
Well, I think I often think that being a poet means pulling or allowing yourself to go back close to that childhood stage. So I like the way you describe creation from that perspective. I usually start or get the urge to write a poem when I have a question or a worry, or when something is so wonderful and therefore unexpected that I need to make sure I remember it, and I need to kind of move around within it more fully before the memory and experience goes away. And that means I usually have an idea or a question that I can articulate, and I'll find language for that. And then very quickly I'm in the position of not knowing what to say next. And my way of dealing with that is to move toward trying to imagine what I can see, what images I can convince myself are real enough that I can, describe them and interact with them and feel almost as if they are capable of responding to my presence as well. And then I run out of steam and I say, well, what have I already said? Is there a sound that can help me figure out what to say next? And then something like rhyme or just other musical components come into the poem, and that creates a little bit of momentum. And I just kind of keep going from there. There's this magical moment when all of these choices that have felt difficult begin to exert their own momentum, and I'm following something. And I have an inkling that what I'm also following is just my unconscious, unfettered thought process, going where the better me knows to go. And I feel that the poem is nearing completion, or at least the first draft is nearing completion, when I start to discover things in all of that stuff that I've created or made stick to the page. I start to realize, oh my goodness, I thought that I was writing about, loss, but I'm actually recovering something. My poem is about something else. And that, when I first started writing poetry, I described that feeling as like, oh, it feels like falling in love in a way. It's that like kind of delicious, fulfilling jolt of maybe it's dopamine or something that makes me want to figure out how I can write another poem sometime soon.